You're listening to Winnipeg's Classic 107. My name is Simon Rusnak. It's the last month of the school year. Summer is just around the corner, and with it, hopefully, will come some long, warm, and dry summer days and nights. On this first Friday in the month of June, we continue with our long-standing tradition of welcoming Chris Hall of McNally Robinson Booksellers onto the airwaves with his recommendations in this segment called What to Read. Hello, Chris.
Good morning, Simon.
Well, let me begin by asking you, how have things been at McNally the last little while?
Well, we're keeping the rain out, so it's been okay. Whenever there's sunshine, I seem to instinctively gravitate towards the windows, but
Yeah. You and I both. And I have to say, I've been following along on the McNally Twitter and, any other number of ways, but there has been plenty going on. I mean, book launches and chats and events and, of course, casual browsing and dining at Prairie Ink. And that all continues this month. So certainly would encourage people to keep tabs and follow along, because there really is a lot happening these days.
Yeah, we've kind of reawakened from that slumber we were in. So it's starting to feel wild, and trying to raise my own energy to keep up with it too, because you kind of got used to not much happening, and suddenly there is. So yeah, it's fun.
Fun it is indeed. All right, so let's get to this month's picks. That begins with a highly anticipated new novel by an exciting author. Tell us more.
Yeah, absolutely. You're quite right. But much a rising star. This new one is called Vona, and it's by an author named Ottessa Moshfegh. And if you haven't heard of her, she's been, as we say, on the rise with the last couple of novels in particular, My Year of Rest and Relaxation and Death in Her Hands. This new novel is a bit of a departure from those books, which were much more contemporary settings. This new one is a historical novel, Vona being the name of a village in a medieval fiefdom. And within that village, there lives a young man named Merrick. And Merrick starts the novel with his shepherd father, and they eke out a living in the grit and grime of their world, laboring and having a belief in a higher power that will ultimately look after them. But suddenly in the middle of the book, Merrick comes to live with the local lord. And when drought hits the area, the people are starving, but the Lord and his household, including Merrick, continue to enjoy an embarrassment of riches. And without giving too much away, Merrick becomes this fascinating figure, this connection between these two worlds where there's the have and have not, shall we say, and there's power struggle that starts to occur. And it becomes a very fascinating, it really reads like a fable, but a fable for contemporary times for sure.
Yeah, it really sounds like, you just used the word several times, and it's the word that strikes me. It sounds like a really fascinating bit of fiction, like one of those worlds that you can really dive into and fall into and see how this character, Merrick, straddles two different worlds.
Yeah, exactly. And you're in really good hands with Moshfegh. She's a really good writer.
All right, so certainly that one to star. The next selection has not one, but two authors collaborating on a title, Rehearsals for Living.
Yes, and this is by Robin Maynard and Leanne Betasomosa Simpson. And this book takes the form of a series of letters, and the two women are two of Canada's most important thinkers and writers right now. Maynard is a central figure in the Black Lives Matter movement in Canada, and Simpson is one of our foremost Indigenous writers. And so when the pandemic locked us all down in the spring 2020, these two struck up a correspondence. They didn't know each other very well, so the beginning is very tentative, but they cover issues that are important to them, and everything from the uncertainties of the pandemic that they were going through, but also the police killings. George Floyd occurred at that time, climate catastrophe, which is kind of ongoing all the way through this. And so you get real insights in what it's like to navigate this world as a Black and Indigenous woman in particular, but Black and Indigenous people and also. So yeah, really real good opportunity to get those insights into people who see and experience the world quite different than me, for example.
Yeah, the importance of understanding other perspectives. I'm curious, how is this presented? Like, are they letters? Are they essays?
Mm-hmm.
How would you describe the structures of Rehearsals for Living?
Well, yeah, they are letters, but not letters like you and I would write. They are get very deep, and so yeah, they certainly read like essays, and they're real thought experiments in some cases. They're pushing each other, asking each other deep questions, and really getting into it. So yes, they are set up as letters, but you quickly forget that they're other than they're addressing each other, I guess, in the middle of it. But yeah, both kind of formal and informal at the same time.
Yeah, wow. The next selection you have, as I understand it, is a suspenseful bit of writing. The latest from a French author, Valerie.
Yes, exactly. The new book is called Three, and Perrin was a bookseller favorite in the last couple of years. She had a novel called Fresh Water for Flowers, which a number of booksellers got excited by, and our customers really picked up on it too.
Hmm.
So this is the new one, and there are two storylines in this one. Both are set in small town France, but the first one is set in 1986 when three 10-year-olds, Adrian, Etienne, and Nina, meet at school and they quickly become inseparable. And the novel traces their relationship as they grow older. Now, the second storyline is 2017, and a car is pulled up from the bottom of a lake and a skeleton is discovered inside. So, a local journalist who has a somewhat enigmatic connection to the three friends, not really sure what it is as you read along. She reports on the case and moves closer and closer to the surprising connection between herself and these friends, and as well as this person in the car. So there, you're right. It's set up as a thriller, suspense, or that's the suspense. But the novel itself of these three people in particular, but this fourth one that's kind of a disruptor, shall we say, in the relationship, and and so it's really about what happens to them and what happens to friendships and people as they grow older, and but also this undercurrent of suspense that kind of keeps you turning the pages. So it's a really good combination.
Yeah, sounds like a great summer read.
Mhm.
I'm going to put a little asterisk beside that one too. All right, so we here at Classic 107, I think are going to be a little bit partial to your next your next suggestion. It's a new book on music from a prolific writer on this subject. Tell us more.
Yes, you're telling me I'm playing to the crowd,
You
I guess.
certainly are, Chris. You certainly are. You know your audience.
Excellent. Yes, this one is called Musical Revolutions: How the Sounds of the Western World Changed by Stuart Isak. And it's a history of music and told in accounts of the most defining moments in classical and jazz music, all of which forever altered Western culture. So it starts with the invention of music notation by a skittish Italian monk in 11th century, moves on to multi-layered hymns in the Middle Ages, on through the birth of opera, Baroque, Romantic, atonal music, bebop and cool jazz, Bach and Liszt, Davis and Coltrane. Lots of music stories, in other words. And also stories of when the music became entangled in politics and economics, the forever push and pull between whether it should be fun or super serious, the notable achievements of people of color and women whose paths were always more difficult. So something for everyone, I think. It's a really interesting read.
Yeah, I've got all sorts of music history flashbacks going on right now. But I also actually have a somewhere pointing here behind me. I've got a natural history of the piano, which is another Isaacoff book. Great read, and it sounds like he goes well beyond that scope, though, through the whole Western classical art music world. I'm sure that there are many stories to be told, but obviously picking the best of the best here and presenting them. You don't have to be a music history nerd or major for this one, do you?
No, no, you don't. It's very anecdotal. It's kind of the stories behind the specifics. It certainly uses music uh, jargon that's a little beyond me, but I had no issue with it. I understood everything that I was reading. But I've had books on before where we talk about histories which
Hmm.
focus on a particular aspect, and it's really interesting. You go back through time with a particular concentration, and you see other things fold into it. And this is another example of a book like that.
Yeah. Speaking of books you've talked about before, in my humble opinion, as not a striving bookseller of the world, I feel like it's been far too long since we had a food or beverage book because I really like the pictures. I know I'm probably not supposed to say that, Chris, but they're always so beautiful. You have another one for us now, a great recommendation, especially heading into the summer months, I think, and this a recommendation specifically written for Canadians, right?
Yes, absolutely. No shame in liking the pictures, Simon. A beautiful book is a beautiful thing. So this is a book called Caesar Country: Cocktails, Clams, and Canada. And it's by Aaron Harowitz and Zach Silverman. And the authors are co-founders of Walter Craft Caesar's Mix, which you may have seen in the grocery store and around. Their book is a love letter to Canada by way of our cocktail, the Caesar. So they get into a deep dive of the art and science of Caesar making, so you can get your bartender skills going. But they also share food recipes that riff on some of the same flavors and complement the drink. But the main part of the book are the recipes of the cocktail. And these come from bartenders across Canada who use regional and seasonal ingredients and offer many ways to reinterpret the classic Caesar. So, Simon, I'm hereby calling for a Caesar summer. And to help get that started, we can set you up with a sample bottle of Walter Craft Caesar mix when you come in and purchase a book. So while quantities last, we'll send you home with a head start.
Yeah, sounds fantastic. I suppose it's 5 o'clock somewhere, right? And especially as we head into the summer months, you're right. A Caesar summer. Chris, let me ask you this to close things out. Are you a Caesar kind of guy?
I like a few Caesars. I haven't had a lot of Caesars in my life, but this book has really kind of inspired me. There's a lot more to the Caesar than I had any idea.
Yeah, no, I'm a big Caesar fan. I always think something about Caesars in the summer. They really are great, especially on a patio. I'm always partial to putting just a little bit of pickle juice when making a Caesar mix. I don't know. Maybe that's in the book. Maybe that's common knowledge. I'm not too sure.
There are a lot of Caesar opinions. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And just one other sort of aside. I know my dad is also a fan of the Caesar. June. Father's Day's coming up. I think some great picks in there for dads and so much more, right? Anything special planned at McNally?
We don't. We just celebrate reading as always, but we definitely have some displays set up that will get your thoughts going for some books. You might see the Caesar Country and the music book on those displays. So yeah, we'll try to help out.
That sounds great. Last month it was Moms Love Reading, and this month it is Dads Love Reading. Everybody loves reading, and McNally is the place to go to get your reads. Chris, great connecting with you as always.
Great, thank you, Simon.